Okay. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Darian and today I'm going to be talking about my favorite YA fantasies of all time. First of all, for some reason it's really hot in my room, so you might see like some fog on my glasses. I apologize in advance because I know that can be really distracting, but just wanted to point that out. But anyways, if you are new to my channel, YA fantasies are by far my favorite thing to read. I like reading most genres, but YA fantasy is like my sweet spot. I mean, I've started to read more adult fantasies this year, but I think YA fantasies will always just have my heart. There's just something about them that I love so much. I find I love the characters in YA fantasies so much. There's always so much angst and like the romances just hit different, you know? And I love the worlds and everything, so I thought I would make a video about my favorites of all time. Obviously, as of right now, I'm sure this list will change in even a year or so. There will be more books added to this list because I am definitely not stopping reading YA fantasies anytime soon. But anyways, I'll just get into my current favorite YA fantasies of all time. So first, we all know this was coming. I had to start with my favorite book of all time, and that is Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor. I reread this book earlier this year and it definitely cemented its place as not only my favorite YA fantasy of all time, but just my favorite book of all time. I ended up tabbing the thing. Yeah. There's a lot of tabs in here. I just adore this story so much. It's so amazing. I never want to say too much when I explain what this book is about because I really feel like it's best going into this story knowing as little as possible and just discovering the world along with the characters. But what I will say is you're following this character named Laszlo Strange, and yes, my dog is named after Laszlo, obviously. And Laszlo Strange is obsessed with this lost city of Weep. Weep is kind of known as like a myth now because no one can remember it. No one even remembers its true name. The name just was stolen from everyone's memories, and so everyone calls it Weep, but Laszlo is really the only one who believes that it still exists. And then one day he is given the opportunity to maybe travel there, and the story goes from there. There is a lot that goes on in this book, and obviously I also love the second book, which is Muse of Nightmares, which is right behind me over here. We love it. Since I took this book, I put this one on display. But yes, I just love this book so much. I mean, if you haven't read it on my recommendation at this point, you really need to get to it. Like, it's just so good. The writing is so lyrical and beautiful. I love Laini Taylor's writing so much. She's definitely my favorite author. It's like this writing style was meant for me. I love all the characters. They're all so fleshed out, and even the characters you don't like, you just kind of learn to love them despite hating them, if that makes any sense. If you've read it, I feel like you know what I'm talking about, but like it's so hard to talk about this without spoiling it, but I definitely do not want to spoil it for you because just finding out everything that happens is so amazing and heartbreaking at the same time. The ending of this book is so devastating, and it'll definitely make you want to pick up the next book right away, and this duology is just fantastic and I cannot recommend it enough. So definitely my favorite YA fantasy of all time. Next, we also knew this was coming. I recently made a whole video about this duology, but that is Where Dreams Descend by Janella Angelis. The second book in this series, One Night Breaks, recently came out, and I recently reread this one and then read the second book, which also is right here. Hello. And this book is just it's so amazing. I love it so much. You're following this girl named Kalia, and she is a performer at this club that is kind of similar to Moulin Rouge, and the guy who owns the club, his name is Jack, and he is basically her teacher and her mentor because she is a magician, and in this world there are those who acquire their magic and there are born magicians, and she is a born magician, which is much more rare. It is also extremely rare to have a woman who is a show magician. Women are usually expected to use their magic for like household chores and stuff like that, you know, super fun. But she wants to be a show magician, and there's this town nearby called Glorian, and she finds out about a competition going on at this town, and she decides to run away to join this competition, and it kind of goes from there. She meets a judge at this competition named Darren DeMarco. my baby boy. I love him so much. He is the love of my life. And this is definitely one of my favorite romances in any book ever, not just YA fantasies. I just love, like, the romance is definitely my favorite part of this book. So if you like romance in fantasies, so not necessarily like fantasy romance, but if you just love seeing romance in fantasies, I definitely recommend this one. Also, seeing the magic work in this world is so cool, and I love Janella Angelis's writing. I love Kalia. She is such a badass bitch. We love her. Obviously, I love DeMarco. He is such a sad boy. So basically, he's my perfect man, and I just loved seeing where this series went in the second book also, and I have a whole vlog reading this duology if you want to check that out, but definitely highly recommend this book. It's just so good. Also, this cover is so stunning. Ugh, it's what we deserve. But yes, definitely in like my top 3. Okay, so next I'm gonna talk about these two together because they're by the same author, and I read both of these books this year, and these are probably my number 1 and number 2 books of 2021, and I don't really see that changing before the end of the year. Which one is number 1 and which one's number 2? I think I know, but like that, just thinking about that stresses me out, so I'm not gonna decide that yet. But those books are Beyond the Black Door by A.M. Strickland and In the Ravenous Dark by A.M. Strickland. These books, they both mean so much to me. They are both YA fantasies. This book follows this girl named Kamai, who is a soul walker, which basically means that when other people are asleep, she can walk into their dreams and into their souls. And in every soul that she's visited, there has been this mysterious black door there, but her mother has always warned her, do not open the black door, because she is also a soul walker, and also she has told Kamai never to tell anyone that she is a soul walker. So Kamai obviously has a bit of trouble with this, especially after her mom tragically passes away. So she eventually does open the black door, and then so many things happen in this book. This book it just means so much to me. I love A.M. Strickland's writing, and both of these books are just so queer. Like, I love the queerness in their books so much. In this one, Kamai is discovering her asexuality, and for me personally, this is the most seen I've ever felt reading or watching any type of media with asexuality. So if you are asexual, or if you want to learn more about asexuality, I highly recommend reading this one. And there's also a trans character in this book. I think there's some other queer identities that I can't remember right now, but it's just a beautiful story. I loved it so much, and I definitely want to reread this soon. And then we have In the Ravenous Dark by M. Strickland, obviously, and I tabbed this one. Can you see? Yes. And this one was just, like, I was a little nervous going into this one because I was worried it wouldn't live up to how much I loved Beyond the Black Door, but it just really did. First of all, this cover is stunning, and this one also is very queer. We're following this girl named Rovin, and she is a blood mage, and in this world, if you are a blood mage, then you are assigned a guardian who is essentially a ghost that watches over you, but Rovin doesn't want a guardian. She wants to remain independent and free, but one day she uses her powers to save one of her friends' lives, and they're in public so everyone sees, so she is brought to the palace and is given a guardian. And there's also like a lot of family stuff going on in this book. There's stuff with Rovin's dad, and it's just so good. Like I said, there's so many queer identities in this book. Rovin is pansexual and also enters in a polyamorous relationship by the end of the book. One of the characters is a lesbian, one of the characters is non-binary and ace. Like, it's just so good. Again, I love A.M. Strickland's writing. I will read anything they write. Like, please just keep writing books for me and I will be so happy. I can't remember what their next book is called, but it sounds amazing. Both of these books I just love so much. I love this author so much, and like I said, I will read anything they write, and I'm sure whatever comes next will also be one of my favorite YA fantasies, so definitely excited for that. So the next few books I actually haven't read them in a long time, so if I did reread these books now, there is a possibility that they wouldn't be on this list, but from what I can remember from these books and how much I loved them at the time, I felt like I had to include them. So the next book I need to talk about, well, the next series I guess, is the Infernal Devices series by Cassandra Clare. This is the first book, Clockwork Angel, and this is a prequel series to the, oh my god, I just blanked on the first series name, The Mortal Instruments, which I don't love that series. Like, I think I enjoyed it when I read it, but I would never want to reread that series. This series though, I definitely want to reread. It takes place in Victorian England. You're following this girl named Tessa, and I honestly do not remember much more than that, but I do remember the iconic love triangle in the series. I am definitely Team Will. I don't like Jem. Like, I don't like him at all, and maybe if I reread it that would change, but I never liked him. I don't like him. I was always Team Will all the way, and I'm pretty sure if I reread it I would still be Team Will. But I remember just adoring this series. I mean, Cassandra Clare, I always found her writing very addictive, and it's hard to put her books down, and I didn't love the ending of this whole series, but from what I remember I had a lot of fun reading this series, so this is definitely a series I would love to reread in 2022 so I could officially cement its place in my favorite YA fantasy series of all time list. But for now I will say that it is one because I just have such fond memories reading this. I don't know why I'm skimming through it as if like I'm gonna remember everything about it, but yeah, so I definitely want to revisit this one soon. The next series was my whole personality in high school. I loved this series so much. I was so obsessed. I definitely binged this series, and it took me a while because the later books in this series, they get pretty big, but I was so obsessed, and I don't remember that much of what happens. I just remember how much I love this series. But that is the Vampire Academy series by Rochelle Mead. Oh my god. These books were just so much fun, but there was also a lot of like dark and deeper elements that happened in this book. I will always remember finishing the second book, and at the end of the second book something pretty sad happens, and I remember being like so shocked that this thing had just happened, and it broke my heart. And then I think it's the end of the third or fourth one, another like super shocking thing happens, and I remember just 14-year-old me was reading this series like, what the frick? This had just such an impact on me, and this is definitely a series I want to reread again soon. From what I remember, there are these two girls, Rose and Lissa, and so Lissa is a Moroi princess, a mortal vampire with a rare gift for harnessing the earth's magic. Okay. The Moroi have to be protected from these like evil, are they vampires too? The Strigoi? Yes, the evil vampires, and they never die. Well, I'm learning. I'm learning along with you guys. And then there's Rose, who is a blend of human and vampire. Yes, it's coming back to me. And so she's kind of Lissa's like protector, but they're also best friends, and they go to this school called St. Vladimir's Academy, and there's also like Rose's mentor, I guess, named Dimitri, and they have a little romance, and I just loved this series so much. It was so much fun, and I definitely want to reread it again. I'm sure there's some problematic elements in this story. I mean, it was written, when did this first book come out? Like 2010? Probably before that. What am I talking about? 2007! Oh my god, yeah, so 2007, there's probably something problematic in here, but I just really want to reread this because I had so much fun reading this series when I was in high school, and I was so obsessed, so I would love to reread both these series, and then with the Infernal Devices, I can finally continue in Cassandra Clare's books because I've only read those first two series, and with these books, I could maybe read that spin-off series. I think it's called Bloodlines, so yeah. Hopefully I can reread these at some point. Next, I feel like I had to mention the ultimate YA fantasy, and that is The Hunger Games. Obviously, I love The Hunger Games. I was obsessed with The Hunger Games in high school, just like everybody else was. I was obsessed with the movies. Honestly, I really liked all the movies. I know a lot of people don't love Mockingjay and Mockingjay Part 2, and Mockingjay was never my favorite book. It's definitely my least favorite book in the series, but I thought they did a really good job with the movies, especially Catching Fire. Catching Fire, I've said this so many times, it's my favorite book to movie adaptation of all time. It's so amazing, so well done, and I don't think I really need to explain what The Hunger Games is about. We all know what it's about, and I mean, I love books with competitions in them, so this was a perfect series for me, and that first book was just so much fun learning about these characters, and I think I liked Katniss a lot. From what I remember I did. Obviously I'm Team Peeta because Gale can... yeah, hate him, and Finnick, just one of my favorite characters of all time. Love him, and the series is just iconic. I had to include it, so there you go. Next, I kind of hesitate to call this series YA because to me it's more like new adult, because this series gets super dark and violent and pretty gory at times, and to me it seems more new adult than YA, but it is classified as YA, so I will include it in this list. But that is An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. Now, I know I've not done this series yet, I've only read the first two books, but I do love the first two books. I do like the second book a bit more than this one, but I feel like it's a joke now that I just never know how to sum up these books. So basically, I'm gonna try my best. You're following two characters, Elia and Elias. Elias is part of like this academy. He's a soldier, part of the Martial Empire, I think. Is that what it's called? Anyways, he's a soldier. He's part of this academy and he is going to become a mask, I think they're called. And Laya is like one of the civilians kind of, and at the beginning of the book her grandparents are killed and they were like basically her last remaining family, so now it's just her and her brother is taken away and she thinks that it's her fault, so she kind of vows to find him and she ends up striking up a deal with these rebels, and so she goes undercover at this academy where Elias is studying and she becomes the commandant of the academy slave to find out information about where her brother is, and then her and Elias's paths cross. It goes from there. Hopefully that was a good enough explanation. I don't know, but the series is just so well written and so fast paced. Like, this book is already very fast paced and then the second book just takes off right where the first book left off and it just does not stop, and it's very stress inducing. It gets very violent, very gory like I said, so it is a bit disturbing at times, but it's just, I love these characters so much. You just care so much about them, and I know I'm not done the series yet, but Laya, especially her development throughout the series is just so well done. So if you haven't picked this book up, I would say like if you like the Poppy War, then this is a great YA book to read that is similar to the Poppy War. But like I said, I see this more as new adult, but it's YA apparently, so it makes the list and I know I need to finish the series. I'm so sorry, but I'll finish it soon. Probably. Okay, anyways. This next book, I don't actually talk too much about this book on my channel, so I feel like a lot of people don't know that I've read this, let alone loved it. And I mean, obviously it's one of my favorite YA fantasies of all time. I love this book so much and I just never talk about it, but that is A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Bridget Kemmerer. I loved this book so much. Like, when I picked this up, I was just expecting like this fun time, maybe it would be like 3 or 4 stars, but I gave this 5 stars. I just loved it so much. I found this book just sucks you in right away and just doesn't let you go until the end of the book. And if you don't know, this is a Beauty and the Beast retelling and you're following this character Ren, who is the Beast character, and in his kingdom he is cursed, and at the beginning of every season he's given a new chance to find a girl to fall in love with him, and by the end of the season, if she has not fallen in love with him, he turns into the Beast. And when he is in like his beast mode, he kind of loses sense of everything. He doesn't have any control over his thoughts or actions, and he always goes on this like killing rampage in the village and kills lots of people. And it's not good. And then at the beginning of the book, the enchantress who cursed him tells him that this is his last season, and if he doesn't find a girl to fall in love with him by the end of this season, then he will be a beast forever. And then you're also following Harper, who is the girl in question. And it looks like she's not gonna fall in love with him, but guess what? Things kind of change, and it's just so good. And I loved seeing, like, because the only Beauty and the Beast story I've consumed is the Disney movie and also like the live action based on the Disney movie. I don't think I've ever read another Beauty and the Beast retelling, unless you count ACOTAR. I don't really count that, but anyways, so yeah, I really love this book. I especially love a side character named Gray. I know everyone loves Gray, and I still haven't read the second book. I think it's right here. Anyways, I still haven't read the second book, which is all about Gray, so like, why haven't I read that yet? I don't know, but I loved Gray so much. I was just super interested in the story the whole way through, and I feel like now like BookTube has kind of moved past this book and I want to bring it back. Let's get back to this because it's really good and I really liked it, and I can't wait to read the rest of the series. So there you go. And last but definitely not least is Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. I love this book so much. This book I definitely talk about a lot. Oh my god. I mean, this cover is so stunning. The cover of the second book was recently revealed and it is so stunning. I love it so much. This book follows our girl named Bree. Here she is right here in all her beautiful glory. And at the beginning of the book, Bree's mother passes away in a car accident, and soon after that she is accepted into this early college program at, I don't remember what school. I don't remember. but some college. So her first night at this new school, she witnesses this magical attack and finds out about this secret society at this school, and the people in the society are essentially the descendants of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, and she kind of gets sucked up into this world and all the things going on. There are like these creatures that are trying to cross from their world into this world and basically kill everybody, and Bree also feels like the society has something to do with her mom's death. So it goes from there. This is like, I don't know if this counts as dark academia, but it definitely has dark academia vibes, and it's just so good. It's so excellent. I think this is Tracy Deonn's debut, and like, what the heck? Because this was amazing. This is another like super fast-paced book, especially the second half of this book just does not quit. And the ending of this book, like, there's a twist at the end, and I remember like realizing what the twist was about to be right before it was revealed, and I was like it was so good, and I definitely need the new book soon, please. And there's a love triangle in this book, kind of sorta, like it doesn't take up too much of the plot, but it is there, and I kind of wish that in the next book maybe there'll be a polyamorous relationship between these three. I don't know. I wouldn't be mad is all I'm saying, but it's just so good. I love the characters again. This is also another super queer world, and there's just casual queerness all over the place. It's so amazing to see, and I just love this book so much. And there's also a great discussion about grief in this book, and if that is a trigger for you, I would definitely say be wary of that before you go into it, because it is discussed a lot, but I think Tracy Deonn talks about it so beautifully and handles it so well. So this book, it's just so good. I mean, I feel like I'm saying the same thing about all these books, but I just love all these books so much, and this one is no exception. So please read it if you haven't yet. Definitely read it before the next one comes out, because once you're done this book, you're not gonna know how to survive until the next book comes out. I know, I don't know what I'm doing. We'll get there together. It's okay, team. But yes, definitely love this book. Definitely one of my favorite YA fantasies of all time. So there you go. Those are all my favorite YA fantasies of all time. Let me know what your favorite YA fantasies of all time are. I would love to get some recommendations on more books that I should read, because like I said, these are definitely my favorite types of books to read. So I definitely want to read some more. I mean, I know there's like a million out there, but yeah, give me your recommendations. Would love to hear them. But that's it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon with another video soon. Bye!